Class versus class name. So apparently this lesson will cover more advanced JSX. You'll learn some powerful tricks and some common errors to avoid. Grammar in JSX is mostly the same as HTML, but there are subtle differences to watch out for. Probably the most frequent of these involves the word class. So in HTML it's common to use class as an attribute name. However, in JSX you can't use that word. You have to use the word class name instead. Okay, fair enough. So we have to swap out the word class for class name. This is because JSX gets translated into JavaScript, and class is a reserved word in JavaScript, clearly. When JSX is rendered JSX class name, attributes are automatically rendered as a class attribute. So we need to declare a new variable. I think he said my div. I might have read too quickly ahead of this. Okay. No, he definitely said my div, and we're going to make a div, obviously. Any text? I am a big div. It's a bit horrible. And we give it a class name. Equal big, because it's a big div. Hey, run. Oh, make sure that you use the text I am a big div. I am a big div. Seriously? What does he think that is? Apparently, typing it in doesn't work. You have to copy paste. Nope. Make sure you use it. This is ridiculous. Maybe it doesn't like the space. Wow. Absolutely wow, it did not like that space. I would have thought it would have ignored white space, but clearly the parser in this thing doesn't like it if you do too many weird things. So underneath the div, we're going to React render that out. So React dom.render. I suppose we're going to do my div. I can't wait to get into an IDE. We're going to put this into the app. Yes, we are going to put this into the app. Bosh. I'm a big div. I guess if we inspect that, then we'd see class. If you rendered div has a, you should look in the big browser. What do you mean the big browser? Oh, because we can go here. So let's just take localhost. I wonder if that works. I bet it don't. No, does that? We could look in the big browser, but let's just inspect this instead. My app div wrapped in a class of big. Pretty cool. I actually didn't think that was going to work. Surprised it did. Okay, so next, the self-closing tag. Oh, I remember these. Another JSX gotcha involves self-closing tags. What is a self-closing tag? Like an image. See, this one doesn't even look as part of that. So we don't close them like this. We usually close them like that. So most HTML elements use two tags: an opening tag, div, and a closing tag, /div. However, some HTML elements, such as image and input, only use one tag. The tag that belongs to a single tag element isn't an opening tag, nor is it a closing tag. It's a self-closing tag. When you write a self-closing tag in HTML, it is optional to include a / immediately before the end or final angle bracket, such as a BR. Also fine without. Now, in JSX, you have to include the slash. If you write a self-closing tag in JSX and forget the slash, you will raise an error. It'll throw a fit. So in app, fix the broken I think I just did, and then I removed it. Fixed. But we've got multiple more, so we'll have to do that. Nah, it might not like. Oh no, it wants it like that. That's fair enough. It does need that space. I was correct. That should fix that. That fixed that. Hey, moving on. JavaScript in your JSX. In your what? JavaScript in your JSX in your JavaScript. Wow, that's a head mesh. So far, we focused on writing JSX expressions. It's similar to writing bits of HTML, but inside of a JavaScript file. In this lesson, we're going to add something new. Regular JavaScript, written inside of a JSX expression, written inside of a JavaScript file. Whoa. Starting on line 5, carefully write the following code. What do you think will appear in the browser? Well, that's going to be text, isn't it? That's just going to be text. It's going to be 2 plus 3 in text. Clearly. I mean, we could copy and paste, but I feel that we need to learn to write. 2. That's got to be a plus. Plus. 2 plus 3. I'm telling you, that is going to render text. There you go, see? Text. Where's the whoa moment on that? That's not JavaScript. That's JavaScript. Okay, curly braces. So this is where things differ. This is where things are going to get insane. Curly braces in JSX. The code in the last exercise didn't behave as one might expect. No, it behaved exactly how I expected it to behave. Instead of adding 2 and 3, it printed out 2 plus 3 as a string of text. Why? Because it's text, man. This happened because 2 plus 3 is located between H1 tags. Any code between the tags of the JSX element will read as JSX and not regular JavaScript. JSX doesn't add numbers, it reads them just as text, just like HTML. I figured. You need a way to write code that says, even though I am located between JSX tags, treat me as ordinary JavaScript and not like JSX. You can do this by wrapping your code in curly braces. Okay, so we take you. So in C# or Blazor, yeah, or ASP.NET web form or something like that, we do something very, very similar. So we do the curly braces, but instead of just curly braces, we add an @ So that signifies that this is a code block in C#. So it's similar in fashion, which is good. Makes it easier to understand, well, for me anyway. Any code between there, blah, 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 blah. So we've done that. And now if we click run, that should then give us 5. Hey, bonus round. A sniffle of coffee. And cups back. You'll be seeing this on a lot of streams. 20 digits of pi in JSX. Ooh, we're doing pi, are we? Oh, okay. You can now inject regular JavaScript into JSX expressions. This will be extremely useful. In the code editor, you can see a JSX expression that displays the first 20 digits of pi. Study the expression and notice the following. The code is written in JavaScript. No, the code is written in a JavaScript file. By default, it will be all treated as regular JavaScript. Okay. Find the div on line 5. From there, up through div, the code will be treated as JSX. Okay. Find the math. From there, up to 20, that will be treated as regular JavaScript again. The curly braces themselves won't be treated as JSX nor as JavaScript. They're just markers that signal the beginning and end of a JavaScript injection into JSX, similar to the quotation marks that signal the boundaries of a string. Okay, so in app.js, declare a new variable named math. Okay, const math equals. Okay, it's another H1. And put the following inside. Are we wrapping this? I'm unsure if we want to map that, because it's math. I reckon they're going to expect us to think ahead. I'm one of those literal people. 2 plus 3 equals 2 plus, I've done that again, 2 plus 3. Right, so I've wrapped that. If I run that, I'm expecting them to go, no, we didn't want that. Hey, see? They don't want it. They want it as text to start. So we have to follow these literally. Okay, next. At the bottom of the file, call React DOM.render. React DOM.render. I guess we're putting math in there, right? Yeah. Okay. Run. So then we get the text spat out there. No, I didn't like that. React DOM renders second argument should be document.getElement. Oh, bloody capitalized the G. What a donkey. Oops, shouldn't swear. Children. Okay, so insert a pair of curly braces. Already did this. Let me jump ahead. Dang it. It gives us nothing. I inserted curly braces. Are they dumb? Oh, insert a pair of curly braces. Ah, okay. My bad. Not reading. Jumping ahead. So they want us to evaluate that expression, and then when we run this snippet of code, it's going to say 2 plus 3 equals 5. I should have read it. There we go. Huzzah! Variables in JSX. When you inject JavaScript into JSX, that JavaScript is part of the same environment as the rest of the JavaScript file. JavaScript in your file. That means that you can access variables while inside of a JSX expression, even if those variables were declared on the outside. Const name equals Gerdo. Const greeting equals hello name. So naming becomes there and hello Gerdo. Replace the React DOM renders first argument with the JSX H1 and then using the curly braces set H1's inner text to equal the best string. Tell you what, this is like the best. The best string with a D? No, I don't think so. There you go. Go. La 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 la, I am the best. Ta la la, this is easy. It's child's play. I feel like I'm playing a quiz that was built for a toddler. Variable attributes in JSX. When writing JSX, it is common to use variables to set attributes. Here's an example of how that might work. Okay, use a variable to set the height and width of the attributes. Const side length is 200 pixels. Then we create a panda object, which is an image of a panda that has a height and a width of 200. Okay, notice how in this example the image's attribute or attributes each get their own line. This can make your code more readable if you have lots of attributes on one element. Okay. Now, object properties are also often used to set attributes. Okay, so we've got a const pics, which has a panda, an owl, and a cat, which are images, and then we create an image and we say the pics.panda, and then whatever it is, and then owl, pics.owl. Yep, I get that. Instructions on line 7. Declare a new variable named gooseImage. Okay. In fact, let's read the whole thing first. Declare a new variable named gooseImage. Set its value to equal an image tag. Give the image tag an attribute with a name of source. And set the attribute's value equal to the variable goose. Okay. So... I think that's it. I think that's what they're asking. Boosh. We're getting good at this. Now we're going to use the React DOM.render to render out gooseImage. Oh, whoa, no. How now, brown cow? Okay, after your variable declarations, make sure you start a new line with React DOM render. Capital R, people, capital R. Wait, where's my image? I was expecting that image. No, I'm not impressed with that. That doesn't work for me. Where's the image? Inspect. Nope. That has not worked. And I know why. Can you spot it? Because we used a full stop instead of a comma. And that thing paused it and passed. We found a bug in it. So we put a full stop. It still renders. That still goes, yeah, this is all good. This is good code. However, it's not. There we go. See, now we've got a duck. So their code's broke because the full stop still rendered. Look at that. That's still successful. But being inquisitive and wanting things to work, as we do as developers, now it works. Now we can proceed. Event listeners in JSX. JSX elements can have event listeners, just like HTML elements can. Programming in React means constantly working with event listeners. You can create event listeners by giving a JSX element a special attribute. Here's an example. Okay, on click. An event listener attribute's name should be something like on click or on mouse over. A word on plus the type of event that you're listening to. You can see a list of valid event names here. Okay, we'll keep that in the arsenal. Cool. Let's bookmark these, shall we? We'll put these into... We'll create a new folder. But not in there. New folder. Oh, can I not pull that out? Dang it. Okay, inside there we'll call new folder what? Edit. React. Yeah. React what? We'll save it inside there. Right. At least we know where to go to when we need events and stuff now. Okay, so an event listener attributes value should be a function. The above example would only work if myfunc were a valid function that had been defined elsewhere. So we create myfunc and then we use myfunc. Note that in HTML, event listener names are written all in lowercase. Are they? That doesn't look like it's all lowercase. In JSX, oh right, okay, so in HTML it's all lowercase, but in JSX the event listener names are written in camel case, such as on click with a capital and on mouse over with capital M, capital O. Okay. Look at line 17. Intensely look at line 17. Null and null. Is being passed two nulls. Yep. Render kitty by replacing the first null with kitty, and then the second one with that. Well, I'm copy pasting this because I can't wait till we get snippets. Okay, we've done that. We get kitty. Show me kitty. Oh, we get a kitty. We get a kitty on a book. That looks like a mathematics book as well. Oh, let's have a look. Oh, no, that won't work. That's either a programming book or a mathematics book. I can see algorithms on it. Anyway. Add an on-click attribute to the image. Okay. On click. And we're going to be calling make doggy. Okay. And make doggy text an event. Remember, since attributes are part of JSX expressions, you need to inject them. Inject JavaScript in order to make use of make doggy. Click run. Okay. Anybody else find that weird? That didn't work. I'm guessing because of the space. Nope. It says it was successful, but I don't believe it. I was expecting that to change the photo to a dog. So add an onClick attribute, set the onClick's value to equal make doggy. Make doggy. Let's just copy that, make sure we've not made a hash of this. Run it again. Nope, that's not doing what I'm expecting. Oh, onClick. What a donkey. Should have noticed that. OnClick. Ready? Make doggy. And if we click it again, still make doggy. Cool. At least we know it works. Alright, so JSX conditionals. If statements that don't work. What? Okay, so great work. You've learned how to use curly braces to inject JavaScript into JSX expressions. Here's a rule that you'll need to know, that you can't inject an if statement into JSX expression. This code will break. The reason why has to do with the way that JSX is compiled. You do not need to understand the mechanics of it for now, but if you're interested, you can learn them here. Well, I am interested in learning those, so again, we will take that and we will bookmark those in there. What if you want a JSX expression to render, but only under certain conditions? You can't inject an if statement. What can you do? Put it above and use the value of the thing that you've just expressed to be the thing you parse. You have lots of options. In the next few lessons, we'll explore some simple ways to write conditional expressions that are executed under certain conditions in JSX. Hate reading, I always get it wrong. Got a bit of a cold coming, I think. So, JSX conditionals. If statements that do not work. Oh, if statements that do work. Read that wrong again. How can you write a conditional if you can't inject an if statement into JSX? Well, one option is to write an if statement and not inject it into JSX. Look at if.js. The following if statement all the way down from line 6 to line 18. If user age is greater than drinking age. And print out message, which is one message. Or else. Print out the other message and then render message. That's one way. The if statement is on the outside of a no JavaScript injection necessary. Okay. This is a common way to express conditionals in JSX. Select that. Ha-da-da-da. Coin toss. Ooh. Starting on line 16, write an if else statement. As a guide. If is equal to heads. Alright, we'll do one thing, else we'll do another thing. Alright. Otherwise, wait a minute. Oh, no, we've already defined it. So img equals pix dot kitty. Else. I can't be bothered to type that. I know we say we type things, but we know it's that. Typing things, put it in your head and keep it there. So function. So if the result of coin toss, which is here, is equal to heads, then the image is a kitty cat. Otherwise, it's a doggy. And we're using a random function on the math class. So what that does is it will randomly choose something on a toss between 1 and 0. So if it comes back as a 0, then it's heads. If it comes back as a 1, then it's tails. Or on that. And it's broken. That's because it wants speech marks. See how they've actually put apostrophes. So we've said apostrophes. And it's actually saying, by the looks of it, it's saying it wants speech marks. So again, we're following their tutorial. Their tutorial is incorrect. Oh God, it wants a space. Seriously. Okay, the if statement's first block should be set. Image equal. Oh, Lord have mercy. There we go. I just fixed that. Oh. This is why we write code. Write it, debug it, write it, debug it, write it, debug it, write it, debug it. And look, it doesn't work. Where's my kitty? Oh, hang on. Oh, we forgot to render it. No wonder we don't have a kitty cat. And we're going to be rendering the image to the document. So the best part about writing your own code is that once you've done the React render, you don't have to keep. There we go. Run it again. Run it again. See how random it is. Doggy. Run it again. Cat. Cat. Doggy. Doesn't seem very random, does it? 2 cats, 1 dog. Oh, there's a dog. Dog, dog, dog. Cat. Wait, that's pretty cool, that. Let's move on. Get to the end of this 16 pages and then we're going to take a bit of a time out. Make a fresh coffee because this is now one cold. JSX conditionals. The ternary operator is a more compact way to write conditionals in JSX. The ternary operator works the same way in React as it does in a regular JavaScript. However, it shows up in React surprisingly often. Recall how it works if you write conditional, result 1 or result 2, where X, Y, and Z are all JavaScript expressions. When your code is executed, X is evaluated, because that's the conditional, as either truthy or falsy. If X is truthy, then the entire ternary operator returns Y. If X is falsy, then the entire ternary operator returns Z. Here's a nice explanation if you need a refresher. I don't. You might, but I don't. So basically, if you do this, then image is Bob. Right. Else image is Joe. That's stone. So right, if we could spell it, condition, condition, condition. So a ternary operator is basically the same thing, except you would say condition. It's supposed to be a more succinct way of expressing this. It gets rid of the need for the else and the if, really. Shrinks it down a little bit. So, now about the basics on that. Here's how you might use a ternary operator in JSX expression. If age is greater than or equal to drinking age, buy a drink. Otherwise, do teen stuff. Do teen stuff. Anybody else here been a teen or is a teen? Do teen stuff usually means buy a drink. Or get someone else to do that for you and still drink that drink. So that expression in itself is kind of contradictory. In the above example, if age is greater than or equal to drinking age, the headline will be buy a drink. Otherwise, the headline will be do teen stuff. Or just buy a drink. Take a look at app.js. On line 14, replace X, Y, and Z with the following three expressions. You have to decide which is X, which is Y, and which is Z. Oh, well, that's flipping easy, isn't it? That. Where's my expression? A line 14 is a const. Ah, okay, there, yeah. So that's my conditional. And it doesn't really matter which is which now. But we're saying that if the coin toss is equal to heads, if we want to go with the same one as the last time, then it would be kitty, or it would be doggy. But I don't think it really matters. Yeah, run it. Dog, run it. Cat, run it. Cat, run it. Cat, run it. Cat, run it. Doggy. Right, we know it works. Heads should return kitty and tails should return doggy. JSX conditionals. The ampersand symbol, which means and. If you ever watch the commitments, that means and. Lots of ands. We're going to cover one final way of writing conditionals in React. The and operator. Like the ternary operator, the and is not React specific, but shows up in React surprisingly often. Not surprised. In the last two lessons, you wrote statements that would sometimes render a kitty and other times render a doggy. And would not have been the best choice for those lessons. The and works best in conditions that will sometimes do an action, but other times do nothing at all. Anybody else think that sounds similar? Right, so we've got a tasty. Applesauce. If it's not a baby, pizza. If you age between If your age is greater than 15, Brussels sprouts. If you're greater than 20, oysters. If you're above 25, grappa. Every time you see an and, in this example, either some code will run or else no code will run. So what they're saying here is they're saying if you're not a baby and you're over the age of 15, Brussels sprouts. And if you're over the age of 20, you also get oysters. And if you're over the age of 25, you get grappa. However, if you're not a baby and you're over the age of 15, you'll get Brussels sprouts. But if you're not over the age of 20, then you won't be also be over the age of 25, so you will not see oysters and grappa. Okay, so you've been building... Let's see how this works. So you've been building a React website all about your favourite foods. You're excited to share your website with your friends, and yet At the same time, you fear the cruel, icy harshness of their judgment. Ooh. On line 13, use the and operator to make... So we just call it the and operator. And. We use the and operator to make it so that this expression, nacho cheese straight out of the jar, will only appear if judgmental. No, will only appear if not judgmental, because the exclamation mark stands for not. We'll get to that one later, I'm sure. Feel free to use the example code below as a guide. Then they want us to change this like this. So we get my favourite foods. So we could just show that, and we could wrap that and say not judgmental. Where's the ampersand? We could just do that. Yeah. Because these will show and this one won't show if it's not judgmental. I suppose we better put spaces in there because it might be a parse problem. See if that works. Judgmental should come before the and operator. Okay. That is before the and operator. Are they smoking some weird stuff? If not judgmental. That is very strange. So it says, you're excited to share your website with friends, and yet at the same time you feel their cruel, icy harshness, their judgment. On line 13, use the and operator, which we've just done, to make it so that the expression nacho cheese doesn't appear. You will only appear if not judgmental. Right? So unless I've spelt judgmental wrong, which is... Oh, I've put judgmental. Oh, no, that's correct. Oh, no, I feel like an even bigger fool. Oh, no E. Ta-da! They're not judgmental. So we run it again, see if they're judgmental. You judgmental friends, you. Okay, so the map function in JSX, the array method map. It comes up often in React. It's good to get into the habit of using it alongside JSX. If you want to create a list of JSX elements, then map is often your best bet. It can look odd at first. He's chuntering in the background, can you hear him? It's what we call the video bomb. So, if you want to create a list of JSX elements, then map is often your best bet. So we see there's an array of strings, and we're looping through strings using the map function, and we're taking a string. Oh, this is like link. Ah, okay, so this makes more sense now to me. Okay, so in the above example, we start out with an array of strings. We call map on this array of strings, and then the map call returns a new array of LIs. On the last line of the example, note that list items will evaluate to an array because it's returned a value of map. Li of JSX LIs don't have to be an array like this, but they can be. So that and that and then that is one of those. Okay, so you can see that a map call is partially set up. I can indeed. Please complete this. On line 8, write an expression to complete the map call. This expression should consist of an li containing the person parameter. One moment. Okay. Enjoy your film or your YouTube. Yeah, he's watching YouTube while I'm trying to stream. Alright. So we've got a person and we want to wrap person inside an li, so that's going to be, I guess, that. Run it. No! Make sure that you wrap person in curly braces. Oh yeah, because it's JavaScript, isn't it? So forgot about that. Okay, on line 12, call React DOM render. He's gone and ran off because he wants to laugh loudly, and I'm kind of ruining it for him. Bless him. People Liz. Yep. I get a feeling that at some point we'll have to stop streaming. I know we've only been going at this for nearly an hour, but still. There has to be a point of cut off where we go, we've done a bit. That failed. So React DOM's render, the first argument should be, it's got to be wrapped in the UL. Whoa, back it up, kid, back it up. So this has got to be wrapped in curly braces, clearly. You'd think it wouldn't care and it would just still spit out a list. Oh. But it wants it to be wrapped in a UL. I'll put UI. Dang those typos. Okay, so we get 3. Row, Prevost, and Gad. Yep. Anything else in there? Nope. Here are some helpful tips. Open links, ask questions. Can I use .4each to create a list of JSX elements? That's an interesting question, that. Can I? We can use for each to create a list of JSX elements from an array as long as we're using the for each from outside a JSX expression. For example, the for each does not evaluate to a value like map does. That said, for each takes a little more code to do the same thing as map can do. Okay, so basically they're saying you could use a for each, but actually a map's probably the better option. For that, do that, and then we've got all of this. Okay, fair enough. Next. Keys. Advanced JSX keys. When you make a list in JSX, sometimes your list will need to include something called keys. A key in JSX is an attribute. The attribute's name is key. The attribute's value should be something unique, similar to an ID or attribute. Morning, Luna. Keys don't do anything that you can see. React uses them internally to keep track of lists. If you don't use keys when you're supposed to, React might accidentally scramble your list items into the wrong order. Not all lists need to have keys. A list needs keys if either of the two are true. Try to remember this one. So, if the list items have memory from one render to the next, for instance, when a to-do list renders, each item must remember whether it was checked off. The items shouldn't get amnesia when they render. That's a good analogy. A list's order might be shuffled. For instance, if a list of search results might be shuffled from one render to the next. then it needs a key. So if you need to remember your state, you need a key, and if you need to remember your previous position, you also need a key. If neither of these conditions are true, then you do not need to have to worry about keys. If you aren't sure, then it never hurts to use them. Okay. So on line 8, give your li a key attribute. On line 8, give it a key. Okay. I'm going to go with person dot. Does person have an ID? No, it doesn't. But it does have an index value, correct? Oh, so yeah. So to get that, we have to wrap that because then it gives us back the index value. I get it. Yeah. So that now will say that every person has an index. So then we should be able to use the key as person plus I. I get that. So then we'd say that underscore, he says, plus the index that we've generated here. That makes sense. So all this is doing is this is allowing us to access multiple variables from within the map that may be there. So we know that the map will return a person, but the map is also a list, so has an index value, which is what I is doing. I will be the index. You could call this index. If you called that index, you'd call that index. I is just a shortened version of that. So that should run. That did seem to run. Obviously we don't see nothing, but it ran. Wait a minute. Where's my list? If that's going to render, I expect to see that render out. Why is it not? Something is amiss. Now you can get a unique key on each loop by adding the following attribute. Yeah, so we did that. So let's just for argument's sake, let's just grab that. Put it there. Add a space, just because. No, it doesn't tell me whether it passed or failed. I don't like that. I want something rendered here. It's not telling me anything bad or anything good. But how do I know that's worked? You're not telling me it's worked. You're just saying click next. And as we know, your click next, well, it's kind of broke. The React Create element. You can write React code without using JSX at all. The majority of React programmers do use JSX, and we will use it for the remainder of this tutorial. But you should understand that it is possible to write React code without it. In the following JSX expression, okay, so we've got const h1 hello world. It can be written without JSX like this. Const h1 react create element h1 null h1. Okay. When a JSX element is compiled, the compiler transforms the JSX element into the method that you see above, the create element. Every JSX element is secretly a call to React create element. We won't go in depth into how React create element works, but you can start with this documentation if you'd like to know more. Well, to be fair, we're going to learn how to do that anyway as we move along, because classes start. When we start looking at classes, I think that will change. So take a look at the following statement. Create the element above without using JSX. Okay, so we want to redo that. Wait a minute. No, yeah. So you've already given me this, and you want me to take that and create that using that. So div, then the value, which in this case is I am div, and then the thing that we're going to finish it in, which is a no, au contraire. It's that. The thing we're creating, null, because this thing takes 3 arguments, and then the text that we're going to spit out. Awesome. Doesn't show me it, but hey, yeah, we know it passed because it tells us. Okay, so congratulations, you've completed the unit on JSX. You have learned a wide variety of JSX concepts. If you don't feel like you've mastered them all yet, that's okay. These concepts will come up again and again throughout this course and the following courses. Now you're ready to put your JSX knowledge to use. It's time to move on to the next major topic, components. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back shortly to maybe carry this thing on. I don't know, I've not decided yet. Take an intermission. I'm going to put some funky music on, and the towel at the back, that's, oh, I found a hair, look at that. Oh, that's this side. Is that on me? Yeah, there is. There's a thing on me there. The hell is that? That's just my hair standing up. Huh, I'll get rid of that in a second. I don't know what it is. Oh. Anyway, make a copy and I'll be back. I'll leave you with a little bit of music. We're back. Right. Gonna have some food. So I'm going to cut the microphone out and obviously the video, because you're not watching me eat. It's weird watching someone eat. We will be back soon to hopefully carry this thing on and see if we can ooh, interesting. Academy Pro, you can practice what you've learned with free-form project quizzes and more. Try it for free or continue with my current lesson. So, yeah, we'll be back soon.
It's the final straight. Your horse is challenging for the lead. Victory is so close. And in the last strides...
Oh, that was too close! We'll have to go to a photo!
Your horse is beaten. Fortunately with Coral, you'll get a free bet up to £10 if your horse finishes within a length of the winner. Beaten by a length. From Coral.
18 plus online and mobile. Applies to first real money single win or each way bet of £1 plus from 8 AM day of selected meeting. Full terms and exclusions at coral.co.uk. When the fun stops, stop.
How do we control coronavirus now? This is Scott. He's a nurse.
NHS Test and Trace helps stop the spread of the virus in our communities. If you've got symptoms, even mild ones, get a test immediately. Don't leave home for any other reason. If you test positive, we can trace the people you've been in contact with and contain the virus. So get tested and protect each other.
To get a test, go to nhs.uk/coronavirus or call 119. Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
And we're back. Okay, so yeah, been having a nose around. I want to show you guys something. So a friend of mine just showed me something in Discord. Right, we were playing Valorant yesterday. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm stumped on this one. So we did a record sesh, and can anybody tell us where Sova gets shot from by Omen? Right, because we're stumped. Right, so the person with the gun, that's Sova, and that's my mate Dave. So we were playing yesterday, and Omen, for some reason, just seems to shoot from nowhere, takes you out. Now I'm baffled on this one. You can see the smoke on the right from Sova. Right, so Sova, not from Sova, from Omen. See, look, right. Anybody know where he got shot from? I saw a Jet on the left. Let's go back. Right, so if you see Jet on the left, Omen's over here, dumping his smoke. Where is he? Let's do that again. Where is he? Any idea? Any idea whatsoever? I am absolutely baffled. See if I can get that before the smoke pops. There. See him? You can just see him there. Right? Now, he somehow, in a split second, spotted my mate, popped smoke, and shot him. Ready? So we are on 17 seconds. Smoke pop. He's shifted to the left. You saw Dave shift to the left. Shift to the left. He still shot him. Can't see him at that point. So if we go back to 18, 17 seconds. Can't see him. There he is. There's Omen. Right there. Dave's on him. So Dave steps to the left twice and gets popped. One. Bang. Nah, for me, that's look. Got to be cheating. I didn't see any other bullets. I saw no bullets. One, two. I'm not seeing any bullets fly. One. Dave shoots towards the smoke. Bosh. So somehow he managed to hit him for 5 to the chest and 3 to the legs. Through smoke. Nah. I'm going to nip off, people, because I just want to explain to Dave that I did spot Omen, and I want to show him where I found him and exactly what happened. But still, I'm baffled as to how he managed to hit him 5 times to the chest, 3 times to the legs in the space of a second and a half. I mean, that's outlandish. So, yeah. I will be back in a bit. And we will carry on some React, I think. And, well, actually, no. We'll carry on with some React, and if he comes on, then we'll discuss it with him further. Let's get rid of that. You know what? Let's just crack on. Do some work. I'll never get very far if I keep ducking out. So, the Hello World Part 2, the component. React applications are made out of components. Isaac. React applications are made out of components. What's a component? A component is a small, reusable chunk of code that is responsible for one job. That job is often to render some HTML. Take a look at the code below. This code will create and render a new React component. Import React from React, import React DOM from React DOM, create a class called myComponentClass, which extends React component, and then we render. Okay. A lot of that code is probably unfamiliar. However, you can recognize some JSX in there as well. There's some as well as the React DOM thing. We're going to unpack that code one small piece at a time. By the end of the lesson, you'll understand how to build a React component. I could rush ahead with this because I kind of already know. Carefully copy the example code into app and run. Should get a tick for that. It's their code. That's not really a tick, but you know, it'll do. Okay, so import React. Woo, your first React component. Whoop whoop. Take a look at line 1. Importing React. This line of code creates a new variable. The variable's name is React, and its value is a particular imported JavaScript object, React. To create a variable named React, this imported object contains methods that you need in order to use React. The object is called the React library. Later we'll go over where the React library is imported from. It's imported from NPM, and how the importing process works. For now, just know that you get the React library via the import. You've already seen one of the methods contained in the React library. React create element. Recall that when a JSX element is compiled, it transforms into a React create element call. Reason for this? For this reason, you have to import the React library and save it in a variable named React. You don't have to save it in a variable named React, but you should. Just because it's explanatory. You could call it Bob for all you like, but then you'd have to write Bob component. Yeah, it's not so explanatory. Right, so before you can use any JSX at all, React create element must be available in order for the JSX to work. So select new JS. New JS. On line 1, use import to import the React library. So this is where we have to start remembering stuff. So import React from React. God dang it. Import React from React. Okay. Next. Now look at line 2. React DOM from React DOM. this line of code is very similar to line 1. Line 1 and line 2 both import JavaScript objects. In both lines, the imported object contains React-related methods. However, there is a difference. Well, the difference is we're pulling in React DOM and not React. The only methods imported from React DOM are meant for interacting with the DOM. Copy. The methods imported from React don't deal with the DOM at all. They don't engage directly with anything that isn't part of React. Oh, hang on, we read too far ahead. So the methods imported from React DOM are meant for interacting with the DOM. You're already familiar with one of those. That's the React DOM render. And the methods imported from React don't deal with the DOM at all. They don't engage directly with anything that isn't part of React. To clarify, the DOM is used in React applications, but it isn't part of React after all. The DOM is also used in countless non-React applications. Methods imported from React are only for pure React purposes, such as creating components or writing JSX. Makes sense. So, the instructions. New JS. Import the React DOM library on line 2. Store the result as a variable named React DOM. Import React DOM from React DOM. Run. Next. Create a component class. You've learned that a React component is a small reusable chunk of code that is responsible for one job. One job. Which often involves rendering HTML. Here's another fact about components. Every component must come from one component class. A component class is like a factory that creates components. If you have a component class, then you can use that class to produce as many components as you want. To make a component class, you use a base class from the React library, React Component. What is React Component, and how do you use it to make a component class? React Component is a JavaScript class to create your own component class. You must subclass React Component. You can do this by using the syntax class, component name, extends React Component. JavaScript classes and subclassing are a complex topic beyond the scope of this course. If you aren't comfortable with them, here are some good resources to consult. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. There's that niggling little thing inside me saying we should go and check these out. So, yes, we are going to bookmark them. It's always good to know what it is you're doing. So, look at the code in app.js. A lot is still unfamiliar, but you can understand more than you could before. To be fair, I can still understand it. On line 4, you know that you're declaring a new component class, which is like a factory for building React components. You know that React component is a class, which you must subclass in order to create a component class of your own. You also know that the React component is a property of the object, which was returned by the import React from React on line 1. Do I? Didn't know any of that. Okay, so select new. Skip line 3. And then on line 4, let's declare a new one called class X. Don't put anything between the curly braces yet. What, not even a space? Next. Name a component class. Good. Subclassing React component is the way to declare a new component class. When you declare a new component class, you need to give that component class a name. On line 4, notice that your component's class name is my component class. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Point taken. Component class variable names must begin with capital letters. Unless it's JavaScript, unless it's Java, and Java for some reason. Bit weird. Anyway. Oh, no. Tell a lie. I think Java also have classes with uppercase. Yeah. So, this adheres to the JavaScript's class syntax. It also adheres to a broader programming convention in which class names are written in upper camel case. In addition, there is a React-specific reason why component class names must always be capitalized. We'll get to that soon. Okay, so, new one. We'll just check that. We'll come over to here. We will do that, and then we'll run that so we can move on to the next stage. Component class instructions. Let's review what you've learned so far. Find each of these points in app.js. On line 1. Yep. That creates a JavaScript object. This object contains properties that are needed to make React work such as React create element and React component. On line 2 is React DOM, which imports a library that allows us to interact with the DOM. On line 4, we are subclassing a class to create a new component class. This is not a component. A component class is more like a factory. So we're subclassing the React component. You create a new component class. That is not a component class. That is a factory that creates a class, a component class. When you start making components, each one will come from a component class. Whenever you create a component class, you will need to give that component class a name. That name should be written in upper camel case. In this case, you chose the name we were told to use my component class. Something that we haven't talked about yet is the body of your component class. The pair of curly braces after the React component and all of the code between those curly braces. Like all JavaScript classes, this one needs a body. The body will act as a set of instructions explaining to your component class how it should build a React component. Here's what your class body would look like on its own without the rest of the class declaration syntax. Find it in app.js. It's there. That doesn't look like a set of instructions explaining how to build a React component, yet it's exactly what it is. Click next and we'll go down how these instructions work. Okay. The render function. A component class is like a factory that builds components. It builds these components by consulting a set of instructions which you must provide. Let's talk about these instructions. For starters, these instructions should take the form of a class definition body. That means that they will be delimited by curly braces like this. Okay. The instructions should be written in typical JavaScript ES 2015 class syntax, or nowadays ES 2016, ES6 as we call it. There is only one property that you have to include in your instructions, a render method. Is that still the case? Well, I don't know. We'll get to that. A render method is a property. A render method is a property whose name is render. way to tell is the obvious, and whose value is a function. The term render method can refer to the entire property or just to the function part. Okay, a render method must contain a return statement. Usually, this return statement returns a JSX expression. Of course, none of this explains the point of the render method. All you know so far is that its name is render. It needs a return statement for some reason, and you have to include it in the body of your component class declaration. We'll get to the why of it soon. So, we're going to use it. Place the cursor between the curly braces at the end of line 4 and hit return. Do lines through 4, so now look like this, and then we're going to do this. Then we're going to hit run. Now let's fill it out. So now we're going to do a return. So obviously we're going to hit enter, then we're going to do return H1, H1, and inside there we're going to say hello world. I haven't heard this track in ages. Start boys to toot on Angel Boys. You guys can't hear it, I'm not allowed to put it out. Okay, so that works. Moving on. Angel Boys. No, so the track I'm listening to that you guys I don't think can hear is Train Spotting. Well, from a film called Train Spotting. Really cool track. It is called Born Slippy. Back in the day when I was younger and I was living in Burton, this was a really cool track. I don't live in Burton anymore. I moved after a relationship breakup. That's how my table gets bent. Get your feet off. That's how you break my table. Okay, back to the matter at hand, which is creating a component instance. My component class is now a working component class. It's ready to follow in its instructions and make some React components. So let's make a React component that only takes one more line. To make a React component, you must write a JSX element instead of naming it. Instead of naming your JSX element something like h1 div blah 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 like you've done before, give it the same name as the component class. Viola, there's your component instance. Which is what we've done here in the render. So JSX elements can be either HTML-like or component instances. JSX uses capitalization to distinguish between the two. That is, the React-specific reason why component class names must begin with a capital letter. In a JSX element, that capitalized letter says, I will be a component instance and not a HTML tag. At the bottom of new.js in line 2, create an instance of my component class. Well, we can do that one of two ways, can't we? We can either render it or we can say const component equals my component class, right? Let's just make sure we got that right. Yeah, I'm guessing that would work. Yep. Moving on. Now we get the render one. So you've learned that a component class needs a set of instructions which tell the component class how to build components. When you make a new component class, these instructions are the body of your class declaration. Okay. This class declaration results in a new component class, in this case named myComponentClass. MyComponentClass has one method named render. This all happens via standard JavaScript class syntax. You haven't learned how these instructions actually work to make components. When you make a component by using the expression myComponentClass, what do these instructions do? Whenever you make a component, that component inherits all of the methods of its component class. MyComponentClass has one method, render. Therefore, MyComponentClass also has a method named render. You could make a million different MyComponentClass instances, and each one would inherit the exact same render method. This lesson's final exercise is to render your component. In order to render a component, that component needs to have a method named render. Your component has this. It inherited a method named render from MyComponentClass. Since your component has a render method, all that's left to do is call it. This happens in a slightly unusual way. To call a component's render method, you must pass the component to the React-DOM render function. Notice your component is being passed as React-DOM render's first argument. Yes, the React-DOM render will tell my component to call its render method. My component class will call its render method, which will return the JSX element hello world. React-DOM render will then take that resulting JSX element and add it to the virtual DOM. This will make hello world appear on screen. So we basically copy that, put that there, and because we're being clever, that should work.